is the Alamo College's Foundation Scholarships. If you just Google Alamo College's Foundation Scholarships, this page will come up. The foundation, if you were your, what's a foundation? A base?
First step.
First step. The other meaning for foundation is a nonprofit that gives away money. So this is basically, we have the Alamo colleges, and then we have this other institution called the foundation that's in charge of all our fundraising and giving away our scholarships. Within this foundation, there are several hundred scholarships. And it would be too pain in the butt to have you apply to all of them. So what we do is say, by applying to this one, doing this one application, you've applied for every different foundation scholarship. You might qualify for some, you might not qualify for others. You don't have to figure that out. You just do this one scholarship. Now, the priority deadline for this was back in March 31st. Some of you were not SAC students at that time, correct? They are also very slow at giving away their money, partly because they're trying to match things up, partly because they don't necessarily get enough people apply, crazily enough. So they have their final deadline September 8th, which means they may have given away some of their money, but they haven't given away all of it. So you just go here, you click apply. Okay, you have to create an account to register and follow the directions. You will see they will email you. So make sure you're giving them an email address you check. Some of these scholarships, if you get it 1 year and you meet a GPA threshold, you automatically get it the second year. For the foundation, you have to write 3 short essays. You will see them in the application, but if you just scroll down, they're here. These 3 questions you're frankly going to get asked every time you apply for a scholarship, every time you apply to transfer in one form or another. What's your background? What challenges have you faced, and how those challenges prompted you to pursue higher education? What are your goals? And how is having a scholarship going to help you achieve those goals? You're like, I don't want to write, maybe it's late in the process. I'm worried if I write these essays, I won't get it. I've wasted all this time. Next year when you apply, turn in the same essays. When you apply for that outside scholarship, turn in the same essays. This is not a class where you're going to get in trouble with plagiarism. Start working on these essays now. Get them in, right? If you don't apply, you're 100% guaranteed you're not going to get any of this money, right? So don't kill yourself and be like, oh, this has to be pure poetry from the heart. September 8th is coming up. Scratch these out, get them done, submit it. And then work on them some more. Because you're going to get asked these, I'll tell you, every time we look, every external scholarship, every school is going to ask you these 3 things. What obstacles have you overcome? What's your goal? What are you going to do with the money? And they may say, sometimes they may say 300 words, sometimes they may say 500 words, but you'll be able to use these again and again. As I said, for this, it's better to have something in than nothing in. If you're beginning the semester, you don't have very much work yet, knock them out. Couple tips on this. Try to create a clear narrative. Often the best way to structure all of these essays, either individually or collectively, is to think about. So I was here. I had a challenge. this challenge has changed me in some way. It's made me a better person or a better student, has motivated me to pursue the goal I'm pursuing. Now that I'm the stronger person, I've overcome this obstacle, I'm meeting these challenges, I'm growing and developing. Now with this money, I can kind of complete my education for these reasons. It's a little bit formulaic, but just think about it in terms of, okay, here's the challenge you faced, here's how you overcame it, here's how you learned from it, here's how you're a better person now, give me money. You don't need to tell them every single thing in your life, right? You want to make it clear. They don't need to know that your gerbil died when you were 2. If you can relate it back to your educational journey, that's the best. On the other hand, and this is something San Antonio College students are often bad about, is sometimes students are like, I don't want to give people a sob story. Like I had students who were like, they were going to SAC, they were homeless, they were living out of the car, they were working 40 hours a week, they were going to school full time, they were taking care of their kid. I was like, you're amazing. Tell the scholarship people that. Because they don't know otherwise. So don't be afraid to talk about those obstacles, particularly if you can kind of make that clear story. Maybe if there's a couple different things you've overcome, again, think about it to relate. So I'll give you an example. Yours doesn't have to be this perfect, but I'll give you an example of a student I knew. She grew up in southern Mexico in a community that had really poor water. She comes to SAC to study. She's an engineering major. She wants to study civil engineering. And then because she really was drawn to that by the fact that there was where she grew up was really poor water, and she wants to now be able to do kind of engineering and construction projects to bring water for places like her community. Now that really was like a perfect thing, and it was pretty genuine. Not always going to be that perfect, right? You don't have to be like, I survived, being hit by a bus, and now I want to be a nurse, right? But you might want to think about, hey, did somebody, what things motivated you, right? If you took time off, if you're like not right out of high school, maybe you say, okay, I did this is why I did this, maybe I had kids, maybe I had a different career, maybe I changed careers, let people know that. And I'm always happy to sit down with folks to brainstorm, or if you draft a couple ideas, I'm happy to look at them and get y'all going. In terms of your goals, just be clear. No scholarship is going to hunt you down in 15 years for like, oh, you were going to be a civil engineer and instead you're a mechanical engineer. We want your $500 back. Even if you're not 100% clear of what you want to do, give them a clear narrative so they can be like, oh, we're giving this money to somebody who wants to become a blank. Don't lie. Don't misrepresent stuff. You don't have to have grown up in a shack you built yourself to get scholarship money. You have to have applied, have to have a clear goal. Most scholarships require that you submit a resume or a CV. And I would say because of that, you don't have to list every possible thing you ever did. Put that in the CV, not your essay. Your essay, you don't need to mention that I was in 7th grade band, right? If you think that's really important, put that in your CV. On the other hand, and this is just useful now, you're doing a whole bunch of different stuff. You're part of honors, you might be engaged in an activity, a campus, a volunteer activity. Start kind of keeping just a Word document that's like a running resume. And even anytime you do something, just try to remember, go home, put it in the resume, because it's a lot easier to do it like as you do stuff than it is like 2 years from now you're applying to transfer and you're like, I remember we went somewhere and did something in fall of 2019, but I can't remember. So just get into that habit. Maybe a Google Doc, whatever you do, Google Doc, something where you can find it. Any questions about like this Alamo Colleges Foundation process?
So let's say they give you like multiple scholarships, every single one of them is back.
Yeah, they probably won't give you multiple foundation scholarships. They might give you 2. They're not going to give you 50.
Yeah. But they will be stacked.
I've never seen one that wasn't. Maybe, again, if the person who donated that money put a stipulation on it, maybe, but I haven't seen it. And if you play around on the website, it's someplace here is. Somewhere on here it lists all the different, okay, so like here we go. 28 pages. These are all the different scholarships you're applying for by doing that one application. All right, so this one, it's endowed, which means they've given a big enough chunk of money that all they're doing is giving away the interest each year. They don't care about the major. They don't care really as long as you have above a 2.0 GPA. They just want you to be from this zip code. So when it's like a complicated thing because they're like trying to give as many away as possible. So they're like, okay, everybody from the zip code. But again, 28 pages. Nursing magister taking registered nursing classes. Criminal justice major must be Pell Grant eligible. So this is one maybe where you had to have done a FAFSA. This one they want you to have a dependent under 6 years old. So it really varies. Some of these you might have to have done a FAFSA, must have to be eligible for financial aid, others you don't.